I've been away on Sakaar for a while. I'll tell you all about it, but first, I have someone here that I'd like you all to meet. This is my son, Scar.
Wow, you're family.
So we finally got to the very end of She-Hulk, and boy, was it tough getting there. This show has not been one of the best shows that Marvel have done, that is for sure. This is probably one of the worst shows I've ever watched. I found it very difficult to watch the show, and as the makers of this show keep trying to tell us, they want us to know that this show is not made for men, it's made for women. And here's the problem with that: women don't like this show either. So we have definitely got to talk about this season finale. So if you clicked onto this video, you're interested in my thoughts on the season finale of She-Hulk, or whatever it was, because it wasn't a season finale. It's the shortest season finale ever, and it feels like it's over as soon as it starts. The story is all over the place. There is nothing exciting happens. In fact, it feels like nothing happens in this episode at all. They do way too much fourth wall breaking, and it's just embarrassing. But don't let me be the judge of that. I'm going to take you through everything that was terrible in that episode. So the episode starts off with Jen locked up for punching the screen and screaming, which I thought was a bit ridiculous. She only punched the screen in the thing, and then she screamed. She didn't exactly do anything else to warrant being locked up for, but yet the episode starts with her locked up in the same cell that Blonsky was in. They eventually organize her to get released, and she gets basically some sort of tag on her ankle that basically restricts her from being able to Hulk out, which didn't seem to stop Blonsky from hulking out. So I just feel like it's pointless even adding that in. Then she gets out, tries to live with her parent, then was like, oh, you know what, let me give Bruce a call. She can't get in contact with Bruce. Then she tries Blonsky. She cannot get in contact with Blonsky either. So then she goes down and decides to go to Blonsky's retreat. So while she's down there, she finds the guy with the long hair, the one that attacked her in the earlier episodes, and he basically says that Blonsky's down at some place, and then we get to that place. Now, the next part will kind of connect with what's going on with Jennifer. So her lawyer friend from her office, I think her name is Nikki, and Prometheus from Arrow decide to get an entrance into a gathering around anti-She-Hulk people. While in there, they soon find out that Hulk King, the guy behind all of it and behind Josh taking her blood, was none other than her previous date, the geeky rich boy. And he's basically took her blood and now wants to be a Hulk. So then what happens is she's there, Jen gets in there, finds Blonsky all, abominationed out, and then decides, and then is like, oh my god, what's going on? Then out of nowhere, Bruce comes in there, he jumps into the show, and then the geeky billionaire boy, he puts in Jen's blood and he becomes a Hulk. And then Tatiana shows up, and then obviously Jen breaks the fourth wall and is like, oh my god, so much is happening. Cue the worst part of the show. She then begins to leave that scene and break the fourth wall absolutely and become She-Hulk and go to Marvel Studios, where she demands that she gets to speak to Kevin. We all know who's Kevin Feige. And when she gets there, it turns out Kevin Feige is a robot. He is, he's not a guy as we all know him to be. And basically, she tries to convince him that her finale should not be like this. She goes and sees the writers, which have, I think it's like one guy is the writer. And she goes and sees the, woke writers, and then decides that she wants a different ending. So then once all that nonsense is over and done with, she gets her different ending, and literally the episode's over. Daredevil shows back up. There's a bit of flirting going there, and then everyone's getting arrested. Blonsky's going to jail, and She-Hulk's in the clear now. So basically, they just skip past everything and just jumped to that. Then we get to a very Fast and the Furious end of the show scene. They're all around. Jen, Matt Murdock, all her friends and her family around the table having a little afternoon lunch. Then, the mom and dad are basically trying to marry off Matt and Jen. And Matt just looks like he's got an expression on his face like, yo, bro, that don't work like that. I'm just in here. I'm in for the, wham bam, thank you, ma'am. And then I'm back to New York City. And all that goes on. And then out of nowhere, Bruce shows up. And when Bruce shows up, he's like, oh, yeah, I've been away at Sakaar, So I thought I'd let you guys know where I've been and what has been going on. And then he's like, I'd like to introduce you to my son, Scar. Now, obviously, if you read the comics, you know who Scar is. he's Bruce's son, he's got long hair, etc., etc. Not in this, he does not have long hair at all, and the CGI actually looks like it's just Mark Ruffalo. And at that point, you're just like, oh, really? We're going to deal with a teenage Hulk now? And it really does just sum up this whole show. The whole show is an absolute mess from start to finish. Each episode is so short for you to get into it. It's so difficult to watch. And it's probably one of Marvel's worst shows. I would definitely say Ms. Marvel, in my opinion, was worse. I thought Ms. Marvel was incredibly unwatchable. I mean, Ms. Marvel was clearly made for, teenagers that watch the Disney Channel still, or Cartoon Network. I mean, if you like Teen Titans Go, you probably like Ms. Marvel. But this show was meant to be for adults. She-Hulk has been one of my personal favorite characters from the comics, along with Spider-Man and Wolverine and, Iron-Man, all that. But I feel like they completely butchered this character. They butchered everything to do with this show. This show could have been so much better than it was, and it wasn't. I get, She-Hulk is comical in the comics, but this isn't the comics. You can't always translate everything straight to screen and get the same result. This was such a disappointment for me, this whole show. I feel like it was an absolute mess from start to finish. And it's really starting to irritate me now that why does it seem like when it comes to on the screen, men are able to create better female characters on the screen, write better scripts for female characters than the women can? Because to my knowledge right now, the only female character that has been put on screen by a woman and has not been incredibly unlikable has been Patty Jenkins's Wonder Woman. Patty Jenkins Wonder Woman. And it feels like every time they hire females to write scripts for these female characters, they're hiring the wrong people, because they clearly have their own agendas at play, and they're not out there to make a great script and a great show or movie, and they just want to tell their story or put what they want into it instead of concentrating on making something great. The examples are so many. Ms. Marvel, terrible. Captain Marvel, terrible. The Black Widow movie was nowhere near what it should have been. Terrible. Eternals, terrible. Supergirl, terrible. That is a long list of failures. But then you look at when a man has directed or written for a woman's character, the success stories are a bit more many. Red Sonja, Xena Warrior Princess, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I could go on and on and on. A Black Widow when she's in Iron Man 2. Even Black Widow when she's in the Avengers. So I don't personally think it's that women are making these films or women are writing the scripts for it. I think it's you're hiring the wrong types of women. You're hiring the women that you should be hiring women like Bryce Dallas Howard. Look what she has done with Mandalorian. She's done exceptionally well for Mandalorian. And I assume a lot of people had no faith that she could do Mandalorian justice. But she has done it justice. She has done great with that. That is the kind of woman that they should have been hiring to do She-Hulk. But instead, they hired these agenda and political driven screenwriters and directors, and you can see it throughout. Within the first seconds of episode 1, you could tell there was a feminist agenda straight away. And that's where the problem lied with this show. It was all about feminism. Oh, this show is for women. I hate to burst their bubble, but other than the MCU stans that are going to come and watch this, no matter what, even how shit it is, they will still love the shit out of it. There's not enough of them to make this work. So what you're going to need, you are going to need the comic book readers who actually know who the hell this character is. Now, if you're going to alienate them from the very beginning, what other outcome other than this show being a disaster and having low ratings are you going to expect? Now, a lot of people will point at numbers and say, oh yeah, well, they got this amount of views. That's irrelevant. You base it on what you expect. And even if the outcome is still high compared to other shows, it doesn't necessarily mean that is a success. That means it's more successful than that. But at the end of the day, it probably would have been more successful than that anyway, no matter what, no matter how terrible it was. But to go out and purposely alienate people throughout the whole show, I mean, at the end of the day, the big red flag for me for this show is when you have Grace Randolph shitting on this show. When you got her shitting on a show about a woman, you know straight away there's a problem. Because that woman, I've never seen a person in the media pushing for equality as much as Grace Randolph. No one does it more than her. She is like the cheerleader for representation. So when she starts calling you out and saying this is bad, you know you got a problem on your hands, because she would normally be the one person you can count on. So for me, that was the big red flag there, that Grace Randolph was not a fan of this show. But yeah, that's going to be it for me from this. I just don't feel like I can talk about this show anymore. It's just been so disappointing for me. So I think it's a failure. You may not. You may disagree. I mean, everyone's, open to their own opinions. But this show should have been so much better than it was. And it's been an absolute catastrophical failure. I think the only good thing that's come out of this show, in my opinion, see, some people would say Daredevil. I won't say Daredevil. I don't think Daredevil has been something good that's come out of this show. The only good thing I think it is that it did set up World War Hulk. So I guess we can take that from it. If we can take anything, it's that World War Hulk's movie is coming, and they've now got Scar, so we're going to get his family. I am curious who Scar's mother is. That's what I want to know. Because I don't think in any plane of existence that Disney would ever approve the incestuary storyline between Bruce and Jen having kids together. They're not going to do that storyline. No way, no how. Never. Disney would never give the green light for that. So now I want to know who his mother is. I would love it if, they got, Liv Tyler to come back as Betty and she's his mother. That would be bloody awesome. I've been really wanting her to come back for a while. I hate this whole Black Widow romance. I thought it was stupid from day one. But yeah, I really hope it's Betty. But I got a feeling it's going to end up just being some random no-name woman. New character they're going to make up. But yeah, man, what did you guys think of this show? Did you enjoy it? Did it disappoint you? I mean, when I know this show was done? When I watched episode 1 with my wife and she said this is rubbish. And the show was made for her. It's made for women. So if you're a woman and you thought it was rubbish, then they failed. Because that's what their whole drive was. Oh, yeah, this is a feminist show. This is for women, not for men. Oh, angry man babies, go away. This isn't for you. And when you had actually women that didn't want to watch it anymore, to me, that's a failure. Because you failed to sell it to the people you were intending to sell it to. But yeah, anyway, guys, that is the end of my review for the She-Hulk show and season finale. I hope you enjoyed this video. And, these are my opinions, remember. You don't have to agree with them. And I don't mind if you don't agree with them. But yeah, if you did enjoy this video, remember to like the video and subscribe. If you didn't enjoy this video, I do thank you for sticking around this far into the video and watching. And I will see you guys in my next video. As usual, take care and live long and prosper.